My BF left me 'cause I want my ex-husband to help pack up my dead daughter's bedroom plus happy update. I am a 33-year-old woman who 6 years ago lost my 2-year-old daughter to leukemia. My husband and I tried to make things work, but the grief of losing her and the emotions at the time made our relationship unsalvageable, and a year after her death we divorced. I kept her room as it was, as I liked to go there sometimes to sit and remember her and be around her things, minus the few keepsakes her father took with him when we divorced so he could remember her too. A while after we divorced I met my current partner, and now 3 years into our relationship I am 29 weeks pregnant with a little boy. I am equally excited and terrified about this as I'm so scared of going through that kind of pain again. I live in a 2-bedroom home, so obviously my daughter's room needs to be packed up, and I accepted that, though it wasn't easy. My partner offered to help me do so, and I told him if he wanted to help it'd be appreciated, but that I'd also asked my ex-husband to help me so we could decide together what we each wanted to keep / donate / or toss. This upset my partner as he doesn't like the idea of my ex-husband being around for such a lengthy time, and that since he is my partner I should have asked only him, and told me I could just put aside a few random things for my ex. I tried to explain to him that my daughter was also my ex-husband's daughter, so he had a right to be there for this, and reminded him that if he wanted to help he could of course be there too. He doesn't want to be around my ex-husband, however, so denied this, and has been upset with me all night over this. Is it truly that unreasonable that I'd ask my ex-husband to be a part of this? Edit. Just realized the title could be a little confusing. Yes, I told my partner he could help out, but truthfully I'd rather do it just with my ex-husband, as we are her parents, hence the wanting it to be my ex. Update. My partner did not back up on his displeasure over my ex-husband coming round to help packing up our late daughter's bedroom, and he said some very hurtful things regarding me, my ex-husband and my late daughter that I will not post here as it'd probably get my post removed. He then told me if I didn't call off my ex-husband coming round for this he'd break up with me as he wouldn't put up with it, clearly thinking I'd back down on this as I wouldn't want to be a single parent, and he seemed so fucking smug as he made this threat. By this point I was already seeing red. He could insult me all he wanted, but the things he said about my daughter, I told him to get the fuck out of my house and never come back then, and kicked him out, throwing his stuff after him in a fit of rage. Nothing breakable, don't worry. And that was that. I then spent the day crying over all of this. A few days later my ex-husband came around and we packed up our daughter's room, and during it he asked me if my partner was around. I explained the situation to him and he was so pissed off on my behalf, and he spent the rest of the afternoon comforting me about it. He then would call me every day to check if I needed anything or help with anything, as I'm starting to get less agile and began to spend more time around to help out. The last 2 nights he has actually been sleeping on my sofa in case I need anything during the night, as I went into labor with our daughter a few weeks further along than I am right now, and he keeps fretting about what if that happens while I'm alone. Last night he asked me if I'd consider going out for something to eat with him to see about possibly restarting things. No pressure, just to test the waters, and I agreed, as having him around so much and being so helpful, it reminded me of all our good times and why I fell in love with him in the first place. We are taking it slowly, one day at a time. Ironic that my ex-partner's jealousy and actions may have caused exactly what he wanted to avoid. On the subject of my ex-partner, he has not been around since or called me, and I am getting a lawyer involved to check what I should do in regards to our son moving forward. It was an easy split as we weren't married. The house is in my name and always has been, and he'd only moved in after I got pregnant by accident.
My girlfriend, 21 female, cheated on me, 23 male. With my father, 54 Do I cut my dad off or try to forgive him? We have been together for over a year. My girlfriend and father last week set me down to tell me they had a week-long affair a couple months ago. They only had sex 3 times, they said. And after the 3rd time they say they both felt extremely guilty and mortified at their actions. They've been wanting to tell me since then but didn't have the hearts. I always knew they got on well. They bonded over many shared interests, but I never saw this coming. I feel completely sick. I haven't eaten hardly anything since they told me. I haven't officially broken up with her yet, but it is obvious as I haven't responded to any of the texts, calls she's sent. When they first told me and after it had sank in, I left and haven't said a word to anyone outside of work since. I've been a total ghost to my whole family and friend group. My dad and I are very close. For my whole life I have looked up to him. He and my mom divorced when I was a teenager, but they have been very friendly to each other, which made the process so much easier. I want to forgive my dad. But if my girlfriend had cheated on me with another person, I would easily cut them both off. And in a weird way my dad has hurt me so much more by doing this than she has. I could get over a cheating girlfriend. But my relationship with my father, a relationship I cherished, is destroyed. And it's his fault. My question is this: should I forgive my father? How can I forgive him? Should I tell my mom or brother? Would I be cruel for completely cutting him off, which is what my heart is telling me to do? Update: my girlfriend, 21F, cheated on me, 23M, with my father, 54M. Do I cut my dad off or try to forgive him? Updates: I have received several PMs asking me to update. A bit has happened since then, but I will try to be brief to avoid a wall of boring text. So I told my mom and brother like everyone suggested. My mom was heartbroken, and we talked for a few hours. She told me she was not surprised. When they were married she suspected him of having inappropriate contact with students. My dad is a handsome man and she told me many girls would give him that kind of attention. She did not know if he was unfaithful for certain though. My brother took it as I expected. He blamed my ex and told me I should date less slutty women. I feel like this is missing the point, but whatever. I can't stand that guy anyway. For the following week after I dumped my ex, she would call and text me a lot. The gist was basically she loved me and I should forgive her because she made a mistake but hates herself for it. She told me it was just sex and that she wanted to fulfill her fantasy of having sex with an older male teacher before we got married. I didn't respond to any of these messages or return her calls. I hadn't heard from my dad until a few days ago when he came by to reconcile. He let himself in as he has a key and we talked. He told me about how the affair started with them flirting a little. Eventually they had sex. He said while they had sex 3 times, only the last time was actual penetrative sex. The first 2 she just blew him apparently and he fingered her. He told me this like I was going to be relieved they only did it once. In reality I was horrified that now a detailed picture was in my mind. I asked him if he had been in contact with my ex. He said yes and that they have had dinner a few times as friends because he was worried about her. According to my ex, I was emotionally torturing her, and my dad believes he is responsible for her. I told him I would not have a relationship with him ever if he kept in contact with her. He said I was his son and that he would be in my life regardless. I just held my tongue. He then told me it was shitty to tell my mom and brother like I was trying to ruin his reputation. I was done so I just nodded and apologized. I know that was cowardly, but I didn't want an argument. That was a few days ago. I haven't told anyone else other than my immediate family. I still don't know whether to totally cut contact with my dad. Part of me does, part of me doesn't.